Hey guys, Mr. Riz here to help you on the last part of the 223 activity. So we got part 5, we're going to be looking at data compression. So now that we kind of have an idea of all the different routes that our data gets sent through, we're going to talk about how we can actually make it better by how we can make it smaller so we can send things quicker. So some digital components such as media files can be very large in size when it looks at just the number of bits and require more time to transfer over a network. These files are often compressed to make the files smaller. So data compression is useful whenever you transfer data between devices or over a network because it reduces the amount of time that it takes to send and receive the file. So once the data is compressed and sent, it will need to be uncompressed, or in other words, the original content will need to be reconstructed upon the receipt. So we're going to look at lossy versus lossless. So there are different methods for compressing data. Some compression algorithms reduce the number of bits a file takes up while guaranteeing a complete reconstruction of the original data. This is referred to as lossless compression. Lossy compression, on the other hand, involves compression algorithm that reduces the file size even more than lossless compression, but only allow for the approximate reconstruction of the content. So you can think about here, like, I don't know, been making origami with my kids. So this is kind of like, be like if I went through and I folded a piece of paper to put in my pocket here, lossless enables me to open it back up and it's just like the original, right? It's perfect. Like, so it was able to fit in there. Now, the other thing would be lossy would be if I really just crumpled it up and got it really tiny, I could shove way more in those my pockets, or, we could send that even faster because it's smaller. But when I'd open it up, there'd be a lot of crinkles, it'd be rings, some things might be tearing or shredded. And it's not going to be the same original content that it was before. So can you think of a scenario where lossless and lossy compression algorithms are more appropriate, and try to explain your reasoning? So you can think about, something like sending streaming video, kind of almost like the what TCP and UDP protocols. So something like lossless, you definitely want to have the original quality. So if you think about like maybe something like a photo, if you're trying to download a document, you want to make sure that you have everything in place, that you're not going through, or like a program, you're trying to download a complete version of a game. Something like lossy could be more of like a streaming. If you're streaming with your friends while you're playing that game, you want to go through. So I bet you can even just use this example in a game. Like when I downloaded Grand Theft Auto 5, I wanted a lossless version of it. But while I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 5, you might say, you want to have a lossy compression of it. So that way we can send things faster. And yeah, I might not know the perfect exact location of my partner on the screen at that time, but we can give appropriate or approximation of that. And it'll be good enough that we can still play the game. So the extent of the reduction in file size depends on both the compression algorithm applied and the amount of redundancy in the original data. So a few bits do not necessarily mean less information. So in this next part that we're going to do, we're going to explore the few data compression algorithms with text and image files. So some of the text compressions here. To make it manageable, we're going to explore the text compression algorithms using alphanumerical characters instead of using their binary equivalents. So one example here takes advantage of repeated numbers. So example, like something like 1112222222276 is compressed to 31621716. And the reason why is you can see we have 3 ones, then we have 6 twos, 1716. So it definitely doesn't make the 76 longer. In fact, it makes it twice as long, but it definitely reduces the redundancy over here. All right, so instead of taking up 11 digits to go through, we've now compressed it down to only 8 digits. All right, so what we want to do here is to uncompress. We want to bring this back to the original format of 473154. So that should be 4 sevens, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 ones, 1, 2, 3, and 5 fours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So another way here is we can take an advantage of repeated text. So here we go, Mr. Riz. Let's try to read this as well as we can. If we had Peter, already bad start. Start over again. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where the peck of pickled peppers Peter picked? Okay. So as you can see in this moment, there's a ton of redundancies. So instead of repeating each redundancy of groups of letters or words or phrases, the compression algorithm can replace it with a pointer or an arrow to the previous group of letters and repeat it until it matches, saving the space in the file. So you can see like the first step there might see like, okay, we have ER here, which instead of going through and typing another ER here, we could just repeat that. And same thing, we have PI, a lowercase PI, which gets repeated again over here with pickled or the pick, or we can say CK here. So we can go through and start really slicing this up and see where everything starts getting repeated. And then just noticing here, we can really just compress it. As long as we have this first beginning here, we can almost break down the whole entire rest into another, chopped up version of repeated versions. So you can see how this redundancy can really shrink this text file and save a lot of space. So both media compressions here, looking at video and audio and other things, images as well, both the algorithms above are lossless compression algorithms. So nothing would ever be lost in those. So many compression algorithms are lossy, especially when it comes to compressing media content. So an image file contains metadata for each pixel in the image. So think back to when we did the bitmap images we explored in, way back in 2.2. Saving an image with a black and white file kept the file size to a minimum. But what if you wanted to have a really rich color palette? So 1 bit per pixel will not suffice. All right, you'll end up using multiple bits or multiple bytes per pixel, making the file size very large to store or transmit over a network. So you might want to note some things here. The bigger the image, the bigger the file size because the number of pixels is larger, requiring more metadata to be stored. All right, the richer in color the image, the bigger the file size to store the wide variety of colors. All right, the higher of the quality of the image resolution, the bigger the file size because there's more pixels for the metadata. So you can see how the different levels here can actually change the file size of this. So a few common compression algorithms used in digital media are associated with JPEG or GIF or PNG formats. So what I want you guys to do is to download this here, and I'm just going to go through. Let's save the link as. I'm going to put on my desktop so I know kind of exactly where to go through. Oh, it won't download as a. I have to actually click it on here. Maybe save link as. Should download as a .tif image file. Can I click on it that way? My internet's running super fast today. There we go. All right, there we go. And I'm going to put on my desktop so I can find it here. All right, so we can see here, this is just an image. Yay, that looks nice. A bunch of things here. Okay, what we're going to do here is to look at some of the information with this about how many bytes and it's approximately how many megabytes. And so to do that here, I'm just gonna, we can open this up here, but I'm gonna go to my desktop here. I'm gonna find that file. Where did we just call it? CSP unit. All right, I'm gonna click on the properties here. You guys can probably do this in your Google Drive to see here. Now this file size is, copy this here. And I'm going to paste that over into, it is the file size of 11,059,480 bytes, which is approximately about 10.5 megabytes. Now, your reason why it doesn't work just like 11.0 megabytes is because if you think about it, there are actually not 1,000 like bytes in a kilobyte. There's actually 1,024. It's 1024. And same thing, there are 1,024 kilobytes in a megabyte. So it doesn't work out perfectly like the metric system. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to change some things around. Microsoft Paint is really great at doing this, and we're going to change these to different versions. We'll change it to a JPEG and see kind of how that file size changes. So I'm going to open this up in Microsoft Paint. I'm going to look up here, File Open. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to find that problem here, and I'm going to do File, Save As. I'm going to change its name here to JPEG. And then JPEG. Actually, you know what? There is a difference. Are we doing JP? Oh, I don't know. We'll just pick that one here. It should work. Okay, now let's look at that information here. So I'm going to go to my desktop. I need to refresh this desktop to get that image on there. And where is here, boy? There it is. All right, so we can actually see in these properties, we compress this file here. So now this file is about 1,832 bytes, or about 1.74 megabytes. What do they want us to answer in here? In kilobytes. Oh, of course. Why would they do it? Because they tell us, oh, it says 1790. So we've got 1790 kilobytes here. All right, now what if we save that as a JPEG? So once again, we'll go through here. Let's go back to the original one because we don't want to save the JPEG. So going back to the original one here, let's save it as, and this time we want to do, I forget, a GIF. Yeah, I'm going to just call it GIF so I can find it easier here. All right, and it did say, hey, your color images are going to be reduced. And if you actually look at the image, yeah, that doesn't look nearly as nice. I mean, zoomed out, it's probably the same, but up closer, yeah, you can see the color quality has definitely changed. Let's look at the properties of that here. The GIF one is about 1751, so a little bit smaller there. Oh, wait, no, they wanted PNG. All right, so 1751. All right, we got to do PNG. All right, so let's go back, open up the original one here, the TIFF. Actually, doesn't look too much different there. File, save as. Oh, yeah, I can see it already says PNG up there. But PNG. And you can do .png afterwards to force it to be a PNG, but I'm just going to find it here. All right. So let's see here on our desktop. We'll refresh that. There's our PNG. Okay, PNG is 19728. 9728. Ooh. Oh, it's not letting me type here. Oh, 9. Oh, there we go. 9728. Keyboard messed up. All right, now what if we save this as a monochrome bitmap? All right, let's see if we can actually do that on Microsoft Paint. Okay, let's see. I'm not quite 100% sure if we can do this. Let's open this up and we'll go back to the TIFF and let's do file save as. And let's see, does it give us the choice? Oh, there we go, monochrome bitmap, and let's just call it mono. Yes, and we can see, oh yeah, that definitely changed the way that it looked. Okay, so I would assume this is going to be way smaller. Let's see, desktop, how big is that? Mono is 451 kilobytes. All right, so looking through that, how does the compression affect the quality of the file size of the image, and which compression do you consider to be lossless and which one do you consider to be lossy? So explain your reasoning there. So go through each one of those, kind of look back at those pictures there if you can. Try to see, let's open them all. Okay, I got the JPEG here. Let me see if I can open them all. I got the TIFF, there's the original one, the GIF. Oh, can I just open it up in Paint? The monochrome, which is, geez, like, okay, we'll go with Paint there, and the PNG. So, okay, kind of explain which one looks the best, which one you like the most. Explain your reasoning. So which one would you consider to be, like, which one is the best example of lossless, meaning it's the closest to the original content as possible, and which one do you consider to be lossy? And explain your reasoning. You have some. Okay, so if you think about this, this can be applied to with video compression. So we really won't go through the math here, but the video content requires like more storage than images because you have the continuous stream of images or frames as well as sound. So all this data has to be stored in a video file. The H.264, the MPEG-4 are some of the most common compression techniques for video today. So the bottom line is that the greater the losslessness, the smaller the file, which is good, but the lower fidelity, which is potentially bad. So for images or video files, low fidelity means low quality. companies transmitting via the internet have to balance the quality of the good against the quality of the transmission speed. And you actually kind of think about it today, like I don't have cable internet, so everything I get is streamed up. And so I can definitely tell that sometimes I'm watching a game and it's just not looking good. It's not the quality. And I'll have to go through and like, even though I can stream it through like the local news channels, I actually found it a whole lot easier to just put on my HD antenna and just watch it through the old TV antennas. The quality seems to be just as good. And the other thing too is there isn't the lagginess. Usually the streaming through like my Hulu account, it's like 40 seconds behind. And when I'm in the middle of an intense like sports game, that really makes a difference. But you can see there's a balance here that you have to watch out for with streaming because you want to make sure that you can get the content without it buffering too much. Hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll have I always think like, okay, well, we'll have faster internets. And so we'll just be able to stream no problem. Like once we get fiber optic internet, that's go great. But the quality of the videos are also going to go up and the quality of the sound are going to go up too. So still think it's about, 10, 15 years out of the way before streaming video isn't ever like a problem. I think there's always going to be potential issues. But for right now, I think for the most part, we can get decent quality videos that stream at a very reasonable rate that isn't hard to get. Okay, guys, so this wraps up the 223. And so hopefully you guys had some fun. You thought about the content that gets sent to you. Where does it go? How does it get to you? And all the different routes that it has to take. All right, guys, I'll see you for the next one for 224. Have a good one.